deficit and the national debt, two of the most important issues facing our country right now.
Yeah, and the man at the center of the debate is Wisconsin Congressman Paul Ryan. Fox 6's Mike Lowe traveled to Washington, D.C. to speak with Ryan about his controversial plans to control federal spending and much more.
Brad, we spoke with Paul Ryan about a wide range of issues, and what emerges is a portrait of a man behind the plan. Ryan was recently named one of Time magazine's 100 most influential people in the world. His press secretary gets 100 media requests a day, and he's lucky if he can accommodate 10% of them. But Ryan spent an entire day with us in Washington, D.C.
Right, see you guys.
Congressman Paul Ryan is a man on the move. In Washington, you'll find him running upstairs.
Yeah, I'm going to literally run and get food.
And down them.
Yeah, clear? Yeah, Paul.
Rarely is he sitting still.
Nice to see you. Thanks.
He has emerged as the conservative counterweight to President Barack Obama on almost every policy front, from health care to the budget.
I never, ever envisioned myself doing what I'm doing now. Take it easy, guys.
He was born in Janesville in 1970, the youngest of 4 children.
They always called me the bonus, so I'm the youngest of 4 by 5 years.
He says he was, in many ways, an only child. By the time he was in high school, all of his siblings had moved out. It was the mid-1980s, and as other students were caught up with pop culture, Ryan was getting his thrills from the great minds in conservative economics.
I read a lot of Milton Friedman. I read a lot of Hayek and Mises in those years. That's what got me into economics, to pursue economics in college, reading that stuff in high school.
At the age of 16, one event would change his life forever. He was the only one at home.
Everybody was gone.
When he found his 55-year-old father, Paul Sr., dead of a heart attack.
It's kind of a blur to me, I guess.
But in the days following his father's death, there was clarity.
It was definitely a defining moment in my life. The way I kind of concluded it, either you sink or swim, and I decided to swim. I decided to pick myself up, dust myself off, and you make something of myself.
He received his father's Social Security survivor's benefits and saved them to pay college tuition at Miami of Ohio, where he studied economics. Soon after, he got a job with Wisconsin Senator Bob Caston and later worked for vice presidential candidate Jack Kemp.
And I just kind of got caught up in this.
By age 28, something rare happened in his home district. An incumbent congressman decided not to seek re-election, leaving an open seat and an opportunity.
And then I just gave it a lot of thought, and I decided to give it a try.
It turned out the Democratic-leaning district was ready for a fresh face.
This is Fox 6 News.
Every now and then I'm known to make a mistake. I did not make a mistake with this guy. But I can tell you this, he's going to be the next vice president of the United States.
Mitt Romney has made his VP pick. Representative Paul Ryan is the Republican presidential nominee's running mate.
He and I share one commitment. We will restore the greatness of this country.
The Wisconsin congressman is considered a rising GOP star, but can he help to elevate Romney all the way to the White House?
And that's our big story tonight. Spotlight on Wisconsin. Congressman Paul Ryan is joining Mitt Romney on the Republican ticket.
We're covering this story on all angles, starting in Richmond, Virginia. And that's where we find Mike Lowe, who's following the candidates on the campaign trail.
Good evening, Bev, and good evening, Tammy. We are live in Richmond, Virginia. This is the state where it all went down. Mitt Romney's 4-month search for a vice presidential candidate came down to this. And for months, speculation had been swirling around Paul Ryan. Within the last couple of days, the signs really started pointing to him. Well, tonight, the signs make it official. It's Romney Ryan. Aboard the USS Wisconsin in Norfolk, Virginia, Mitt Romney fired a shot that reverberated across the political landscape.
In welcoming the next president of the United States, Paul Ryan.
42-year-old Janesville Congressman Paul Ryan is now Romney's running mate. The newly minted GOP ticket kicked off a 4-day bus tour. Saturday, there were 3 stops in Virginia, from Norfolk to Ashland, and then the big news came to this small town.
We were like, we should make shirts.
Manassas dressed for the occasion, and it's clear they're comfortable with Ryan.
I think he's got some good experience, and I think he's going to bring some fresh ideas.
Listening to Paul Ryan this morning, fabulous speech. And when I heard that he was going to be in Manassas, a friend of mine said, hey, you want to come down? And I thought, absolutely, didn't want to miss it.
Kathleen Donovan says she subscribes to Ryan's philosophy of fiscal discipline.
But you have to make choices. It's like If you can't afford salmon, you eat chicken.
The move has electrified conservatives and has been deemed a choice that instantly recasts the election as a debate over the role of government.
Hey, guess what? Guess what? November 6th, we take our country back.
Paul Ryan took to the stage and delivered forceful remarks on his ideas to balance the budget and reduce the debt and deficit. He says President Obama's policies have set the country on the wrong path.
We're not going to fall for this kind of rhetoric that says to people that they're stuck in their station in life, victim of circumstances outside of their control, and only the government is here to help them cope with it. You know what? That's not who we are. That's not the American idea. That's not the American we know, and it's not the American we're going to have starting next year.
Today was a good day for me, I got to tell you.
And Mitt Romney was clearly pleased with his pick.
He's taken our party and with his intellectual leadership has helped make sure that we focus on values, that we fight for things we believe in. Sometimes our party has gone astray over the past years. And Paul Ryan said, no, bring it home to the things we care about. Make sure we care for our seniors, we care for our kids, and we stop spending what we don't have.
And today was viewed as the kickoff of a 4-day tour on bus through key battleground states. Now tomorrow, both Romney and Ryan will be campaigning in North Carolina, and then both of them come home to Wisconsin for what they're calling a homecoming rally for Paul Ryan. Reporting live tonight in Richmond, Virginia, Mike Lowe, Fox 6 News.
All right, Mike, thank you. Of course, Mike Lowe is taking the political lowdown on the road following the Romney-Ryan campaign tour.
We are in High Point, North Carolina, a fitting place because Paul Ryan is clearly at the apex of his political career, at least so far. And it was after this rally here in North Carolina that we got Paul Ryan's first reaction to being named to the Republican ticket.
Hey, Mike Lowe, how you doing, man?
Good. How are you? What do you want to say to people?
I can't wait to get home this afternoon. We're really excited about it. Mike Lowe, good to see you down here in North Carolina.
We are going to get America back on the right track.
The North Carolina stop was part of a bus tour of battleground states designed to introduce Paul Ryan to the country. We are at the Iowa State Fair in Des Moines, and Paul Ryan took to the stage, but he wasn't quite the center of attention. That was going on in the crowd. Hecklers interrupted Paul Ryan in his first solo speech as the vice presidential candidate.
I think it's become so.
We are in Lakewood, Colorado, about a 20-minute drive from downtown Denver. This is where Paul Ryan was attending a rally today where he spoke about the need to reduce the debt and the deficit. Paul Ryan had long planned to be in Colorado this week, but it's fair to say he did not expect to be here as the Republican vice presidential candidate. Paul Ryan, the 42-year-old congressman from Wisconsin's 1st District, now becomes Wisconsin's first nominee on a major party presidential ticket. He spent 7 terms in Congress building a reputation as the leading proponent in the nation of supply-side economics and fiscal discipline. His ideas have already shaped this election. Now with his name on the ballot, he has a chance to shape history.
I accept the calling of my generation to give our children the America that was given to us, with opportunity for the young and security for the old. And I know that we are ready. Our nominee is sure ready. His whole life prepared him for this moment, to meet serious challenges in a serious way, without excuses and idle words. After 4 years of getting the runaround, America needs a turnaround, and the man for the job is Governor Mitt Romney.
Congressman Paul Ryan accepts the Republican nomination for vice president, becoming the first Wisconsin native ever to appear on a major party's presidential ticket. Ryan's political philosophy is one of self-reliance, born in grief when Ryan was just 16 years old. It was then he found his father dead of a heart attack in the family's Janesville home.
My dad, a small-town lawyer, was also named Paul. Until we lost him when I was 16, he was a gentle presence in my life. I'd like to think he'd be proud of me.
We are here in Danville, Kentucky for what they're calling the Thrill in the Ville. It is the vice presidential debate between Joe Biden and Paul Ryan. It is perhaps the biggest single moment in the entire campaign for the Janesville congressman. He has a well-earned reputation for seriousness, dealing with sober issues like the debt and the deficit. But you may not know this. Just as he can quote the great minds in conservative economics, he can also quote the great 1980s comedies. Will we see some of that humor in this debate tomorrow? We asked his older brother.
I don't know if Caddyshack or Fletch or Animal House will play well, but you're right. You know, he's a serious guy, particularly when it's serious issues.
Good evening, Brad and Ann. This was billed as the thrill in the Ville, but I can tell you as a product of one such family, this really more resembled an Irish Catholic family at Thanksgiving, having a testy argument over politics. You saw constant rolling of eyes, you saw facial expressions, interruptions, and really only the thinnest veneer of politeness. It was a feisty 69-year-old Vice President Joe Biden taking on a confident 42-year-old Paul Ryan. And what really happened was we saw the Vice President going on offense. We saw him constantly interrupting Paul Ryan and really playing the role of a real-time fact checker. He, in the split screen, had constant animated expressions, lots of looks of exasperation and bewilderment, bemusement, amusement, and whether you thought he was being rude or right on point, he clearly dominated the stage tonight. Now, the 90-minute debate covered a lot of ground on both foreign and domestic policy. The moderator of the debate, Martha Raddatz of ABC News, began the discussion on foreign policy, starting with the Obama administration's response to the attacks on the U.S. embassy in Libya and the best way to prevent terrorism.
We should always stand up for peace, for democracy, for individual rights. And we should not be imposing these devastating defense cuts, because what that does, when we equivocate on our values, when we show that we're cutting our own defense, it makes us more weak. It projects weakness, and when we look weak, our adversaries are much more willing to test us. They're more brazen in their attacks, and our allies are less willing to trust us.
With all due respect, that's a bunch of malarkey.
And why is that so?
Because not a single thing he said is accurate. First of all...
Be specific.
I will be very specific. Number one, this lecture on embassy security. The congressman here cut embassy security in his budget by $300 million below what we asked for, number one. So much for the embassy security piece. Number two, Governor Romney, before he knew the facts, before he even knew that our ambassador was killed, he was out making a political statement which was panned by the media around the world.
And it wasn't until a full half hour into the discussion that the candidates got to the top domestic issue, the economy. We'll have more on their sharp exchanges on that topic coming up at 10 o'clock. For now, reporting live in Danville, Kentucky, Mike Lowe, Fox 6 News. What are the lessons that you've learned now that you've kind of had a chance to sift through it?
As I sort of decompress and think about this, number one, I'm grateful for the opportunity. It was an honor to serve with Mitt Romney on the ticket. It was a great experience that we will cherish. We didn't win the election. It didn't go our way. I congratulate the president. He won the election fair and square.
But as you reflect on the campaign, why do you think you lost?
You know, I think we lost because the president did a better job of getting his voters to the polls. We didn't win. That's just how it goes sometimes. And so now we got to find a way to make divided government work.
And it's safe to say that you're not looking at more gridlock like we've seen the last 2 years.
No, I mean, we've got to fix these problems. It is math, and a fiscal crisis is coming. And are we going to be able to fix the fiscal crisis in the way that I wanted to? No, because we didn't win the election. But because we have divided government, that means we're going to have to find a way to come into common ground to do that. And how exactly that's going to be, I don't know.
And you intend to stay in Congress?
Yes.
Governor Romney was reportedly shocked at the results. Did you have a sense that they were going that way? Did you see the writing on the wall at a certain
Going into it, you know, flying into Boston with my family that day, we felt pretty good. We knew it was going to be close, but our analysis of the polls and the numbers looked like we had a very good chance of winning. So yes, the loss was a bit of a shock.
Were you particularly disappointed at the Wisconsin results?
Well, sure, but I knew we had an uphill chance all along. Barack Obama won Wisconsin by 14 points in 2008. He won by about half that amount this time. We haven't gone Republican since the Reagan '84 landslide, but we still really were fighting hard for it because we won the recall elections.
I think people are always interested in some of the behind-the-scenes things that happen. Tell us about the election night and how you actually said goodbye to Governor Romney.
Well, Jana and I rode over with Mitt and Ann in the car to the concession speech, to the convention center in Boston, and we just basically talked about our families, we talked about the country. I thanked Mitt for joining me on the ticket.
It really is almost crazy to think about the next presidential election. Everybody's saying you're the leading candidate. Do you see it that way? Would you think about a run for?
Aren't you tired of covering presidential politics right now?
I am. I'm a little tired.
I think we're all a little tired of it. That is so far down the road, we shouldn't be even thinking about this stuff. We got problems. Let's fix our problems. We can worry about politics later.